invitation to be here with you and the Kappa League brothers out of members of the Kappa League there in Starkville. So you have an awesome advisor. I'm strolling through to see who all is here. I appreciate the introduction or the welcome by Jacob and introduction by Vince. So I'm happy to be with you. I stay busy, so I don't have any prepared remarks, but I do want to talk to you. I think the topic is courtroom etiquette and anything else. What's the other topic?
Just how decisions are made in the courtroom.
Okay. All right. I'm a municipal judge in Clarksdale, and I'm also a municipal judge in Grenada. So I've been on the bench in Clarksdale since 2017, and I've been on the bench since May of this year in Grenada. And so judges have a lot of individual power, whereas Congress, you have to get other members to go along with you, the majority. As a judge, with a stroke of a pen or a verbal order, whatever you say goes. And so my first day on the bench, on July the 18th of 2017, I had the state flag removed from my courtroom. I didn't have to ask anybody. I wore the black robe and I had the gavel, so I didn't want the state flag with the Confederate emblem in my courtroom. And so I had the bailiff to remove it, and it never came back in my courtroom, just like that. I mean, and nobody asked any questions. It didn't go to the Supreme Court. A judge runs his own courtroom, and so that's the beauty of being a judge. And so for 3 years before the state decided to change it this year, I had forbade the flag from ever appearing in my courtroom again. And so I am able to exercise discretion. In my courtroom, if you come in with a first offense, possession of marijuana charge, I'm not going to fine you or convict you. I'm usually going to withhold adjudication if it's your first offense, because in my mind, it doesn't make sense for people that's utilizing marijuana to get a record if it's just a small amount that they're using. They're not selling. It's legal in parts of the country, and certain people are paying or are selling it for profit legally, and then you're convicting people for using it in certain states. That makes no sense to me. So things that don't make sense to me, even though I have the discretion the power to sentence them or fine them or put them in jail, I'm not going to do it for certain offenses. I also utilize alternative sentencing, even for something simple as speeding or not having your driver's license or your insurance card. I'm able to exercise discretion. Just recently, I had someone come before me. I think she was speeding, and I told her that if she had already registered to vote, I told her if she brought me proof that she voted and did me a 500-word essay on the importance of voting, I would give her a break on her speeding ticket. And so I was able to teach her a lesson. She was 18 years of age, first time eligible to vote, and she was so happy to come back the next Tuesday with proof that she had voted, and she's writing an essay as well. Another guy, he was before me, 17 years of age, probably some of your age, some of you members of the Kappa League there. He didn't have proof of insurance. He was going to have an $893 ticket, a fine for not having proof of insurance and driving. And so I told him, I asked him about his grades. He said he had good grades. I asked him what was good. He says A's, B's, and C's. And so I told him if he can pull up one of those C's to a B by the next grading period, I would give him a break and not fine him the $893. And so now he's motivated to study hard and pull up that C to at least a B. I'm hoping he'll pull it up to an A, but if he pulls it up to at least a C, pulls the C up at least to a B, he'll get a break in my courtroom on a fine. And so that comes from having a heart for the community. Most of the white judges are not going to do that. And that's why it's important to have a representation that reflects the community. Clarksdale has never had a black judge before me and Derek, and Grenada's never had a black judge before me sitting on the city bench. There's always been white men, and they don't care about our people as much as we care. They may have a heart, but it's not as big as ours. And they basically going to do their job. They're going to follow the law, and they're going to fine everybody or sentence them to jail and not give them any kind of alternative sentencing. But I'm trying to change lives one person at a time while I'm on the bench. And so when it comes to young people, I'm going to give you a second chance 9 times out of 10 if it's nothing fatal or too big. Now, if it's murder or something like that, you're going to have to pay the penalty like anybody else. But petty things or something small, I'm usually going to give you a second chance to try to keep you from having a record so early in your life, because I want to set everybody up for success whenever possible. And so I don't allow people to come in dressed any kind of way. Your pants have to be on your waist. You have to have your belt. You have to be properly attired. I don't let the women come in with tank tops on, or the breast showing, or the midriff showing. House shoes, no head coverings for guys. So you have to dress like you're coming to court, almost like you're going to church, definitely like you're going to conduct business. But I send them back out in a heartbeat to make them be properly attired. They not only should respect me in the courtroom, but they should respect themselves. Some things is just not appropriate to wear in public. And so your attire speaks volumes. And some days when people come in, they look like somebody, I may give them a break because they're dressed appropriately. They dressed up. They had on a polo shirt, or a button-up shirt, and had some nice slacks on, a khakis on, and they act like they were coming to see a judge. And so that speaks volumes before they ever say a word. And I'm more likely to give them a break. If they're in college or high school and trying to make it, I'm gonna give them a break 9 times out of 10. Now, if it's somebody that just looks like they're a troublemaker and up to no good all the time, I may do something different. But I'm gonna try. If you're trying to better yourself, and even if you're just honest and you made some mistakes and you just be honest with me, I may give you a break. But I don't like lying. I detest lies. The past 4 years have been miserable for me because the man that occupies the White House has told a lie after lie after lie every single day that he's been in the White House. And so it makes no sense to tell that many lies. And so be honest, be on time. I don't like people late for my courtroom. If court starts at 2:00, you need to be there on time, or you got to explain to me why you're late. Now, if I'm late, it's my courtroom, I can do that. But if I set the time for you to be there, you're not the boss, you're not the judge, so you need to be there on time or have some kind of valid excuse, call ahead. So it's all about respect and discipline, time management. So the court has discretion, and there's different levels of courts. I'm a municipal judge, so you have to be a lawyer to be a municipal judge, and each mayor and city council appoints the judge for that, or the judges for that particular city. And then each county has a justice court judge or judges, and those are elected. You don't have to be a lawyer to be a justice court judge. That's the only judge you can be in Mississippi without being a lawyer. And then if you want to be a county judge, a circuit judge, Supreme Court justice, a chancery judge, you have to be a lawyer first and then be elected for those positions. So for a federal judge, you have to be appointed by the president. You have to be a lawyer first and be appointed by the president of the United States and confirmed by the Senate to get a lifetime appointment. So a lot of times federal judges are in their mid-40s, 50s, or higher, older, before you get a lifetime appointment to the bench. And so that's an impressive and an important position to have if you can get the contacts with your U.S. senators and the president to appoint you. So that may be down the road for me. I'm not quite certain yet, but I know politics is probably in my future one way or the other. So I didn't want to talk a long time. I'd rather answer questions than spend my whole time talking. So that's what I had for now, but I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I do have a question right off the bat. One question is, you said a justice judge doesn't have to be a lawyer. So do they still have the same rights and have the same abilities that you have?
Yeah, justice court judges, they are similar to municipal judges, but they are on the county level. So they handle county offenses out in unincorporated areas. There's been a lot of debate whether or not we should do away with justice court judges. They only have to have a GED or a high school diploma and be elected by the people in their county. And they wear a robe and they can make decisions just like we can. So it's an anarchic system. But Mississippi, they have a strong lobby in the legislature in Jackson, so it has not been changed. And so those of us that's gone to school for 7 years to be lawyers after high school, we have to appear before judges that may only have a GED in justice court. So it's really no court. It's pretty sad, but most of the time they get appealed to what we call real judges, real lawyers. There's judges on the county level or the circuit level. So, but it's the Wild Wild West in justice court.
Wow. And then you mentioned something else. I think you said that. Just left me. I do have another question. Is there a case that affected you the most?
As a judge or lawyer?
Maybe both.
I think one of my most memorable cases as a lawyer was, I do a lot of police brutality cases, excessive force cases. I sue a lot of cities. Hold on 1 minute. Not that. Is she? Yes. One of my most memorable cases
as a, go to the bathroom.
As a lawyer was helping a guy out of Grenada who unfortunately got his child in the car. And I'm talking and y'all can't hear me. So you asked about one of my memorable cases.
Yes.
One of my most cases was as a lawyer back in 2016. There was a young guy who was going to work for a guy to drop his child off at the daycare or at the child's grandmother's house. And the 8-month-old child ended up dying in the hot car. And he was immediately arrested for second-degree murder, held on a $250,000 bond. So I represented him pro bono because a white woman had just done that 3 months earlier in Madison, and she was never arrested. Her face was never plastered on the TV. She was never indicted, but here he is prosecuted for making a mistake, and it was a tragic mistake. It was caught on video. His reaction when he found out he had basically killed a child negligently. He was running around yelling hysterical, so I knew it was not intentional, and so I represented him pro bono, and we was able to keep him out of prison, but I was not going to let him go down the pipe for something that any one of us could have done. I mean, the white woman got off scot-free, but they wanted to prosecute the black man. So I'm always about leveling the playing field. If they can believe a white woman can make a mistake, why not a brother? I mean, no one would intentionally, not many people would intentionally kill their child, forget them or leave them in a hot car on purpose. And the reason I represented him pro bono is because when my child was 2 years old, in 2013, my wife asked me to take her to daycare for the first time. And I forgot that she was in the car and went straight to work. But luckily, I was driving a BMW. I think it was a 7 Series, and it had an alarm on it. And so after me being in the office 3 to 5 minutes, she started kicking her legs and moving her arms in the car. So the alarm went off, and that alerted me that someone was outside. I thought someone was breaking in my car. I went outside to see what was going on. I opened the door, and there she sits in the back seat. And I could have dropped one that I had forgot my daughter was in there. But luckily, I had a car that would alert me, didn't let me forget for too long. I mean, she was in there 3 to 5 minutes alone, and I was back out there, and she never broke a sweat. But just to think, if I didn't have that alarm, I would have worked all day. And when I came out that evening, she would have been gone. Mm-hmm. And so I always knew that God let that happen for a reason. I didn't know 3 years down the road that's not, I would have been called upon. Everybody started trying to contact me to help this young man out, and I was glad to help him out because I knew that just like it happened to me, I got a Juris Doctorate, a law degree. If I can forget, anybody can forget. And so I knew that was my purpose to help him out, and we did save him from prison. He went on. His girl forgave him. They had twins 2 years later, and so she knew it was not intentional, and mistakes happen. But so many times, throw the book at black people for something that anybody could do or make a mistake, just like the white woman had done. So that's one of my most memorable cases.
Thank you for sharing that. Next question is, I don't believe that, I'm pretty sure as a judge or as a civilian, we cannot pick who our judge is. Do you like go through a list and you pick which case you're gonna take, or because you seem to be pretty fair, and is it just the luck of the draw if you get someone else?
Judges are usually assigned randomly, but if you know the system, you pretty much know who you're going to get. In Clarksdale, I sit on Tuesdays and the other judge sits on Thursdays. So if you have court on Tuesday, you're normally going to get me. Very rarely you get the other judge. And sometimes we switch out, and I sit on the bench on a Thursday in his place, but in his stead. But my days on the bench are Tuesdays. I do handle most of the pre-trial matters and the sentencing, and the other judge handles the trials. So if you're on the trial docket, you're probably going to get Judge Hobson. If you're on the pre-trial docket and you plead guilty, I'm pretty much the one that's going to sentence you and decide your fate. But if you're going to contest it, you'll have a trial in front of Judge Hobson. In Grenada, normally you're going to get Judge Vance. I'm a municipal judge pro tem, so if he's out or absent or asking to stand in for him, you'll get me, but you won't normally get me in Grenada. It's going to be a very rare chance, some kind of conflict of his that you'll get me in Grenada. So, and that's how it is on most courts. It's usually circuit court is going to be a random selection. Federal court is a random selection of all the judges. The names are put into a rotation, and it's randomly selected, so no one can really choose who their judge is. It's by the luck of the draw.
Okay. What is the funniest thing that ever happened to you in the courtroom?
There are several funny things that happen. They happen all the time. Just like you see on TV, people are going to say some of the craziest things, come up with some of the craziest, outlandish excuses of why they did what they did. And I really can't recall just normally, look on some of my Facebook posts, I would post that particular day about what was funny that happened in the courtroom that particular day, but I can't just recall anything off the top of my head right now.
Has anybody ever tried to attack you?
Not physically. Verbally, they may get out of order, but I soon shut that down. So, of course, we have the bailiffs and I gavel. And so it's not too many people that bold to verbally get out of order, but a few times they have, I'll shut it down real quick.
Okay. Currently, do you believe that there are some laws that are unfair?
Yeah, I think there are several laws that's unfair that needs to be changed. I definitely support criminal justice reform, decriminalizing marijuana and certain things like that. Restoring felons' voting rights. Once you serve your time, your debt to society, paid your debt to society, I think you should get your right to vote back. There's a laundry list of things that's not fair that I'll be looking at and trying to change, especially during my term as president of the National Bar Association, which represents all the Black lawyers, the 66,000 Black lawyers and judges in the country. So we'll have a bullet pulpit to talk for a year, and we'll try to make some changes and advocate things in Washington, D.C. and around the various state capitals across the country.
If you commit or get a felony charge, you can't vote ever again in Mississippi?
Certain felonies, I think there's a list of felonies that you lose your right to vote in Mississippi. So it's state specific, so not all felonies, but certain felonies that you wouldn't have the right to vote. But most folks just assume that if you got any felony, you can't vote, but it's crime specific, so they would have to talk to a lawyer to see if their felony is the one that falls within the ambit of the law that allows them not to vote again.
Can you give an explanation of what getting something expunged from your record?
Yeah, most misdemeanors, arrests, and convictions are expungible, and certain felonies are expungible. It's like you go to a lawyer, you petition a judge, the court to expunge the record, so it doesn't show up on your record, and it's like it never happened. And so you have to wait. I think misdemeanors, you wait 6 months from the time you were convicted or the time you're arrested, and then you go ahead and petition for expungement. I think for a felony, there's a different time period. You may have to wait a year, sometimes 5 years, before you can seek an expungement if there's nothing else on your record or no more infractions. But yeah, it's something that's worth pursuing, because otherwise, anytime your license is run or whatever, that felony shows up, your background is checked, you're trying to get a job, the felony, the misdemeanor, or even just arrest, even if you're not convicted in court, if just a simple fact that you were arrested could show up on your record. And so you want to get arrest expunged from your record as well.
Okay. Have you ever realized? Have you ever realized that you made a mistake?
Somebody got a question in the chat, man.
Oh, okay. Let me see.
On the board.
You see it?
I see the question in the chat. So I have a question regarding on how our car tent can't be dark, but the darkest tent can be dark. They have a legitimate purpose for having a dark tent. And so if they got a legitimate purpose and they're the law, they get to do it. But we have to obey the law because we are not the law. So we don't have a legitimate purpose really to go around with a dark tent because they can't see. It's too dangerous for them to try to patrol the streets and see what's going on in your car. So, but they can be on private stakes or whatever, scoping things out. So they have a legitimate reason, so that's how they can do it.
You see the other question? It says, for students who are potentially interested in becoming a lawyer or a judge, what coursework is most important? What courses should we take to prepare for that career?
All right, so in high school, English classes, history classes, public speaking classes, debate, all that is good preparation for a future career in law and future studies in college. In college, you can major in anything. I majored in political science. I was political science pre-law. That's a good major. A lot of people major in English, psychology. You basically can major in anything in college and still go to law school. The main thing is keep your grades up and be prepared to take the LSAT. It's also good to be very active in the school, be in leadership positions if you're involved with the Student Government Association or the Black Student Union or NAACP or whatever it may be, the College Collegiate 100 or whatever, Kappa for certain fraternity or whatever. So be president, vice president, some kind of office in whatever club or organization you're in that shows your leadership potential. You should join a pre-law society while you're in college. You can join the National Bar Association as a pre-law student or a law student and get a lawyer assigned to you as a mentor or whatever. So that's good. But anything where you can talk or have analytical reasoning, you can write and do some research, that's the best path to go. Other questions?
You were just recently elected to the national, as the president of the National Bar Association. Congratulations on that. What does that mean?
What does it mean? The National Bar Association has been around since 1925. We are the oldest and largest bar association of primarily African-American lawyers, judges, law professors, and law students. And so we are the voice of lawyers, and then we are the voice if lawyers are the voice of people and we are the voice of lawyers, I guess we are the voice of African-American lawyers and African-American people. To a certain extent, we advocate to advance justice in jurisprudence, and we try to make things not only better for African-American lawyers, but African-American people as well. And so we spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C. Advocating for change in the judicial system, the criminal justice system, advocating before the White House, the president, vice president, Congress. We have a lot to say in vetting potential Supreme Court nominees, potential federal judges, vetting them for nomination and confirmation for a lifetime appointment on the federal bench. We try to expand diversity in the pipeline. We try to make sure that there are enough minorities getting to law school, enough minorities once they graduate from law school getting solid jobs, getting jobs in corporate America, in the government and nonprofits, helping them start their own firms, make sure they have the resources they need to be successful. So it's a huge task. Mississippi has never had a president, so I'm blessed to be the first president in the 95-year history of the organization. When I take the helm next year, I'll be the first president in 96-year history. So we want to represent. So like Kamala said, well, I may be the first. I don't want to be the last. I expect one of these guys that's on the outside to be the second, third, fourth, or fifth president from Mississippi. So it's time to show that Mississippians can lead. While we're a small state, if Californians can do it, people from New York can do it, Floridians can do it, we can do it too. And so when I first joined the organization 20 years ago, I set my sights on becoming president. And it was a hard battle to fight to get it. I had to run 3 times. First time I ran in 2016, I lost by 1 vote. I came back and ran in 2017 and lost by several hundreds of votes. But then I came back in 2020 and I won this year by hundreds of votes convincingly. So if you never ever quit, you'll eventually win. And so the same thing with Joe Biden now, our new president-elect. He ran 3 times before he ever won president. He ran back in '88. He lost. He ran in 2008 against Barack Obama and ended up not getting the nomination, but he decided to serve as vice president for Barack. And then he comes back 12 years later at the age of 77, and he finally wins the top job, the most powerful job in the world, So he never gave up, and he eventually won. And I'm so glad he put a black woman on his ticket. We've never had a black woman or a woman period as the vice president, the second most powerful position in the world, not only the country but the world. So Kamala's gonna do great. She went to HBCU, so that shows that you can go to a black college, a white college, or whatever, and you can still ascend to the highest levels of government. And so it's a great time for you guys. All of you have seen now a black man become president, and now as of January, you'll see a black woman become vice president. And so there's nothing that should stop you from achieving your goals. So Kappa is all about achievement. There's no excuse. We've seen it done time and time again. And so if anybody else can do it, we can do it too. There's nothing stopping us. I never thought it was a hindrance for me being from the South and being from Mississippi. We lashed at a lot of things, but I figured my education was just as good as anybody that's from California, New York, or Florida, and I should be president. Somebody from our state should be president just like everybody else. So that's what we're gonna do, and we're gonna try to be one of the better presidents that they'll know. They shouldn't have waited 96 years to put us at the helm. I think if we do a great job, there'll be other Mississippians following behind me pretty quick.
Indeed. Thank you for that. And last, I know a lot of these guys are driven by money. What is the average pay for an attorney? Does it kind of vary?
The Constitution says all men are created equal. Unfortunately, all lawyers are not created equal. Some are good and some are bad. And some are worth the money and some are not. And it just depends on what type of law you practice. If you go work for a government, state government, be a prosecutor or a public defender, you're not gonna make much. You may make much as a teacher, a little more. But if you go out, and I think the more risk you take, the better off you are. So if you start your own practice, you be an entrepreneur, the sky's the limit. There is no salary to the extent you do a great job and get people to hire you. It's unlimited. I mean, I've made more money in 1 year than my parents. They were taking my father, my mother to make in 20 years. Based on their salaries. So in 1 year's time, so you do the math. I mean, it's just unreal. I do personal injury law, and so I get paid if I win the case. And so if I win somebody a case, they in an 18-wheeler wreck, I get 40% of the settlement or the verdict. I put the money in the case, and then if we have a payday, I get a portion of that money. So it's a lot of risk, but it's a lot of reward. And so the bigger the risk, the greater the reward. So you can't be afraid of failure. You can't be afraid to get out there and hustle. I mean, it's a great career if you do it right. I'm not one that is afraid of risk. Some people, they just want to have a comfortable life. They go make 60 to 100,000, maybe 120,000, and be comfortable. But that's not what I want to do. I didn't spend 7 years of my life after high school and college and law school to go make 120,000. I want to make $500,000 or more. So, and that's definitely possible, doing it on your own and being your own boss. And there's some people that can make millions, multi-millions. And so any one particular year is not going to be the same, but on average, you can make multiple six figures as a lawyer if you're doing it right.
Thank you for that. Any other questions from the floor, anyone? Oh, and I have a question here. Have you ever wrongly convicted someone? And if so, what did you do about it?
Have I ever wrongly convicted someone? If I have, I don't know it. I mean, I judge the cases based on the facts that come before me, and I make the best call that I can. I've seen people wrongfully convicted in larger courts or criminal circuit courts, and I support if the evidence is there that says DNA evidence comes out and shows that they were wrongly convicted of something, they didn't rape somebody. As a lawyer, I would support them getting out filing the evidence. But in my court, I handle most of the traffic tickets, DUIs, things like that. So, I mean, basically a simple assault, that kind of stuff. I listen to the evidence, I make the best decision that I can. So I don't think I've ever wrongly convicted somebody, but there is a chance, but let's do the best I can.
Yeah, that's all you can do. Any other questions? Thank you for that. There's no other questions?
Yes, Vince, I have one.
Go ahead.
Yes, I have one. You have any advice for any of our young teenagers and young men with how they should handle interactions with the police, be it a speeding ticket or, just any type of interaction with police. What would you recommend how they handle that? And if they did have a bad experience, how should they handle it outside of that? Who should they contact, or do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, when dealing with the police, I say always remain calm. No matter if you think you're in the right, just remain calm, be respectful. Yes, sir, no, sir. No sudden hand movements or sudden gestures. Put your hands in full sight. Hands on the steering wheel, hands in sight, no sudden movements. And you can put your phone on record and tell your parents or go see a lawyer after the fact, but don't try to handle things yourself. Even if they're being rude to you, just be respectful and live to fight another day. Is my best advice. And also, you may want to pull over in a well-lit area. Maybe go pull over to a convenience store somewhere where it's lit, where there may be cameras running. And then, like I say, you can have your own iPhone on, hit the record button real quick, and just sit it over on your passenger seat and just record everything that's going on, either audio or video, audio visually, one or the other or both.
So I guess the question is, so if you're not in a well-lit area, are you saying that you should continue to drive till you arrive at one, or?
If it's within reason, I wouldn't go too far. I definitely wouldn't lead them on a high-speed chase, but if you, that's a convenience store is coming up pretty soon, and especially if it's dark and nighttime, I would just drive a regular speed and pull over in a well-lit area. If it's a convenience store, or even somewhere where a house or somewhere where there's other people around. If it's nighttime and you may be afraid. Otherwise, if it's daytime, you're not afraid, and there's plenty of traffic passing by, you can just go ahead and pull over on the side of the road.
I got another question. If you
Okay.
can hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
If you getting pulled over by a suspicious looking vehicle, and say for instance you on the highway, what's like the fastest you can go to like get back to get like to like a sheriff department or something? So like you know what I'm trying to say? Like if you get pulled over by a suspicious vehicle and you don't think it's like a real police car or something?
You should never stop for a vehicle that does not have, it's not properly marked. If it's not a uniform vehicle with flashing lights that you know to be the police, don't stop for it. I mean, they have to have some flashing lights or have it should be something that's identified as a police vehicle. If you're not certain, you don't have to stop. That could be dangerous. But if you, of course, if you see it's a Grenada Police Department car or Grenada Sheriff's Department, it's going to be clearly marked. They're going to have their sirens. You shouldn't be confused about that. But if for some reason it's an unmarked vehicle and you're not certain it's the cops, do what you need to do to get to a safe area. I would follow the law. I wouldn't speed too fast. Now, if you think it's somebody trying to kill you, go as fast as you need to go to get away. But otherwise, try to obey the laws.
I was just asking because I know in Columbus they got like some of the cars, like they be like everyday cars, but they'll pull you over, like Toyota Camrys and stuff like that.
Do they flash the lights, the blue lights?
They got lights, but the lights be like hidden like in the bumpers. But like when they turn on, you can see them.
Yeah, if you see the blue lights, the flashing blue lights, nobody else can have blue lights, supposedly, but the cops. So, but if you ever think it's somebody, I guess acting like they're a cop versus a real cop, I mean, you can still pull over. It's always good to have witnesses. So if you got somebody in the car with you, or if you got some place that you can go where there's going to be other witnesses, that's a good thing.
Any other questions? Any other questions? All right, closing remarks by Jordan.
Hey, hey, my name is Jordan Smart. I am a sophomore at West Lowndes High School and the president of West Lowndes Kappa League. On behalf of the GTA Kappa League, we thank you, the Honorable Judge Carlos Moore, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to speak with us. We will be sending you a token of our appreciation.
All right. Thanks, Jordan.
Uh, thanks again for taking out this time to speak with us. It was very informative. Um, any other questions? Anything, Rodney, you'd like to say? Rodney is our director of Guide Right.
Like you said, man, we just preach along with them, to better prepare them for the future. But we appreciate it. Yo.
Thanks a
All right.
lot. Rodney has a newborn at home, so
I know how it is.
yeah. But again, though, Brother Moore, brother Judge Carlos Moore, we thank you for taking this time out and sharing that information with us. We really
Okay.
appreciate that.
No problem, Brother Davis. Next time y'all have me on, I'll try to wear the right color. I had forgotten. I had like a Sigma tonight, but I got plenty of crimson strings, so I'll try to do better.
All right. Appreciate that. If there's nothing else, everybody, have a good night. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Vick.